The wine glass left her hand like a verdict already passed. Red arced through the air, then pain, sharp, wet, immediate. "Mom, you're being ridiculous," my son shouted, his chair scraping back. "You have 3 empty bedrooms," she screamed, her voice cracking with entitlement. Blood ran down my temple, warm and deliberate, tracing the lines of my face like punctuation. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I smiled, small, controlled. I grabbed my purse, stood up straight, and walked out of my own dining room while everyone stared like witnesses who knew they'd just seen something irreversible. In the driveway, I sent one text. It worked perfectly. I remember the first time I met her. She stood in my kitchen, complimenting the light, touching the counters like she was already measuring them. She called me Mom before the ring was even bought. I thought it was affection. I mistook hunger for warmth. My son was different then. Gentle, attentive. He used to ask my opinion. He used to look me in the eyes. After the wedding, the visits changed. Longer stays, casual remarks. "Such a big house for one woman. Have you thought about downsizing? You don't really need all this space." I smiled. I poured tea. I listened. Trust doesn't shatter loudly. It erodes, quiet, polite, by people who believe they're owed what you built. The first sign was paperwork, a casual question about the deed. The second was urgency. Her parents' lease was ending suddenly. The third was certainty, spoken like a decision I'd already made. I checked my files that night. Everything was intact. Still, I felt watched. So I waited. Then I saw the message on my son's tablet while he showered. I wasn't snooping. It lit up on its own. "Once she agrees, we'll renovate. Dad says it'll be easy to move her things to storage." Storage. That was the word that settled it. Not fear, not heartbreak, precision. I closed the tablet. I went to bed. I didn't confront anyone. I slept better than I had in weeks, because once you know the shape of the knife, you can step aside before it reaches you. I didn't cry. I planned. I met with a lawyer before breakfast. Quiet office, strong coffee. I transferred the house into a trust, ironclad, unchallengeable. I revised my will. I documented every interaction, every text, every suggestion framed as concern. Then I invited them to dinner. People are careless when they believe they're winning. I set the table with the good plates. I poured expensive wine. I waited. I said no, calmly, clearly. No moving in, no renovations, no discussions. She snapped exactly where I knew she would. Public, loud, ugly. The glass hit me harder than I expected. Good. The sting sharpened everything. When I walked out bleeding, I became something they couldn't dismiss anymore. By morning, the story had already grown teeth. A neighbor posted about the incident. Someone else added a photo of the broken glass by the curb. I filed a police report, not for charges, for record. I sent one email to my attorney. Proceed. The trust activated contingencies. My financial support ended quietly. The joint account my son didn't realize depended on my signature closed by noon. The loan I'd co-signed called in. I didn't announce anything. I let silence do the damage. They came to my door 2 days later, not together, separately. My son first. He looked smaller, angry, confused. "You embarrassed us," he said. "Us." I said nothing. She came later, apologetic voice, trembling hands. She asked about the house again. I handed her a copy of the trust documents. She didn't read past the first page. She didn't have to. The house was no longer something they could reach. The final move wasn't loud. It never is. Her parents had already quit their lease, based on promises she made without permission, without ownership, without foresight. When they realized there was nowhere to go, the blame turned inward, fast, brutal. Family pressure is a language she spoke fluently until it spoke back. My son called that night. He didn't shout. "We need help," he said. I sat at the table where the glass had shattered, the faint stains still ghosting the wood. "No," I said. That was the moment he understood. Not that he'd lost the house, but that he'd lost me. I wasn't aiming for destruction. I wanted clarity. I wanted the truth exposed under bright, unforgiving light. They wanted my home. They got consequences. The police report stayed on file. The trust stood firm. The family whispers followed her like smoke. My son moved out, quietly, ashamed. I replaced the dining table, kept the chair where she stood. Sometimes I think about how easy it would have been to give in, to bleed quietly, to call it love. But power isn't loud. It doesn't throw glasses. It doesn't scream. It waits. It watches. It walks away smiling while everyone else is still shouting. And when it's over, when the dust finally settles, it sends one last message into the silence. It worked.